In Ambush Bug's final appearance before his first miniseries, we find him back in DC Comic Presents. There, during a game of golf only a nutcase could play, he finds, get ready for this, a hunk of red kryptonite.
For those who don't know what that is, unlike green kryptonite, which weakens and can kill Superman, red kryptonite has a new and different odd effect on Kal-El every time he encounters a piece.
Of course, AB thinks he just has a shiny new gem, which he has set into a pendant. He then takes it to the Fortress of Solitude to give it as a gift. Ah, yes, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that this is going to be the start of wacky hijinks. And what wacky hijinks ensues when the kryptonite causes Superman and Ambush Bug to swap bodies. AB in Soup's body decides he has to fill in as Superman and races off. Superman as Ambush Bug gets captured by the Superman robots in the fortress, since he is no longer identified as authorized to be there. We get to see AB as Superman trying to capture a criminal called Cobra, who he first mistakes for Lex Luthor, while Superman as AB tries to figure out how the heck does he use his teleportation powers anyway.
After this misadventure, and when Crisis on Infinite Earths, the lovable loony finally got his own miniseries. Naturally, it was as nutty as the main character.
It starts out with a splash page showing an alien fleet that has nothing to do with the story, apparently.
Then again, saying this miniseries has a story is being kind. What follows is a wild romp parodying various popular trends in comic books.
A chance accident leads the balmy Bug to gain a sidekick of sorts, which he dubs Cheeks, the Toy Wonder, who gets killed in the first issue. Don't worry, it's alright, for AB discovers the truth that dead heroes sell. He gets a pizza and comes home to find
Darkseid.
This stunning ending is totally ignored in the next issue.
where the main plot, and I use the term very loosely here, is that AB is hired to stop, get this, a giant koala. Yes, it is wrecking the city, but ain't it as cute as the dickens? Of course, he somehow manages to stop this cuddly crisis, only to be faced at the local burger joint by
Darkseid.
However, the next issue is the Ambush Bug's history of the DC Universe, so this is ignored again. Ambush Bug's version of looking at the history of the DC Universe is to look at all the really absurd sidekicks, one-time characters, and other folks who have been quite rightfully forgotten, and most of which got removed in Crisis on Infinite Earths. This ends with an appearance by
Darkseid.
Okay, you've got the drill by now.
Next issue, Darkseid is nowhere to be found. Instead, Ambush Bug gets to fight a character called Scabbard from a different series called Thriller. However, since the fight only lasts 8 pages, they have to fill up the rest of the book with various ideas, including a nice cheesecake pinup of Starfire.
Good thing they put that near the end. I think a lot of the male readers would have stopped reading at that point.
Oh, and it also showed that the Darkseid that kept showing up was just an inflatable dummy.
This would come back to haunt Ambush Bug.
Next up for our bonkers buddy would be the Ambush Bug Stocking Stuffer. This had him first doing battle with the harmless aliens known as Hookahs, which were from the thankfully short-lived Atari Force series. This is followed by a story featuring the return of Cheeks the Toy Wonder as a zombie doll out to eat other dolls.
In order to save his buddy, Ambush Bug even tries the unthinkable, going back to earlier pages in the comic.
However, he runs afoul of Johnny DC, Continuity Cop, and he is forced to try again and do the comic as a more traditional Christmas-themed book. All turns out well, and we end with the Joker receiving an invitation to an Arkham Asylum reunion. He feels that this will be the perfect opportunity to get revenge upon the Ambush Bug.
Apparently, AB had kept trying to arrest the Joker even though they both were already incarcerated there. Good Lord, is there no end to his power to annoy?
Ambush Bug did a couple of cameos, but nothing big until his next miniseries, Son of Ambush Bug. In the first issue, we learn that AB's supervillain license, which allows him to obtain supervillains for his comic books, has been revoked due to his use of the inflatable Darkseid in his first miniseries. So he tries to fill the gap with sock puppets, then shows what he imagines the Japanese versions of his comics are like. After attempting to drown his sorrows, he returns home to find a rather buxom redhead in his apartment.
Hey! This comic just got a lot more interesting! Back to the story.
It turns out to be Johnny DC, who was transformed by a cosmic Batinsky called the Interferer, who goes around changing things to more conventional comic book styles. As the Ambush Bug is one of the few people who knows he is actually in a comic book, Johnny reasons that he might be able to better deal with the Interferer. It works, as the Interferer tries to change him into a bad copy of the Green Lantern, called Amber Butane. Check the initials. He was able to slip out of the revised story and make his way back home. Unfortunately, the Interferer has gotten a hold of Cheeks and sent him into a classic war comic.
Oh, the horror! Can we have more panels of Johnny DC now?
In the next issue, the Interferer continually places Ambush Bug in situations where he's blown up until AB finds himself in comic book hell. Fortunately, after suffering a couple of comedic tortures, he finds an exit door and returns to the realm of the living. Meanwhile, a government agency has found scraps of the Ambush Bug's costume which hold the key to teleportation.
Hey! No more panels of Johnny DC? Darn!
Next issue we get a hot blonde bombshell in a bikini named either Honey or Bunny.
That'll work!
She was apparently hired as the hostess, but disappears after the first page.
Tease!
Anyway, between bouts of nonsense, Ambush Bug is still trying to get back home, Cheeks is still in the combat comics, and the government is testing the duplicate Ambush Bug costume they have made. On that front, it appears that every time they try and teleport someone back to their base in it, the wearer vanishes. They eventually learn that the scrap that they thought was from the original Ambush Bug uniform is a fake, and the duplicate they made from it is actually eating the wearers. Oh, and Honey or Bunny shows up again on the last page, this time wearing, well, it looks like a bikini made of leaves.
As a wise man once said, hubba hubba!
In the next issue, we have a panel of Bunny, they finally decided on her name, playing the part of a comic critic while wearing a tight tube top and slacks.
Oh, alright, enough about the eye candy.
The killer AB suit is on the loose, and Ambush Bug, well, after waking from a dream where he's doing his best Spider-Man impression, he finds himself with the number 666 on his forehead. Yep, the Interferer is still at work. He keeps zapping AB from one improbable situation to another. At the end, he is arrested. Next issue, we find out that he has been put on trial for contempt of comics. Attorney for the prosecution is Two-Face. In the end, he is found guilty and punished with incarceration. In the final issue, he is then sent into limbo, then exiled from the DC universe, and, apparently, ends up dying in a train wreck.
A very sad ending. There were no panels with Bunny or the transformed Johnny DC in them.